All right, we're back at it, ranking cheeseburgers. I don't want to waste any time on this one at all. Somebody posted a cheeseburger from Starfire, and I said to myself, well, we got to go over there. That's a staple. Let's see what they got. Never had their cheeseburger before. Starfire has a vast menu. Been there plenty of times. Never had the cheeseburger, though. Today, we're going to change that. Here it is. It's quite hefty. I'll tell you that. It's quite hefty. I got their signature burger, by the way. Thought that was the way to go. Keep it kind of basic. Lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, cheese. I believe we got American cheese, bacon, and onion rings. Fries look great. Everything smells great. Little technique, because it might sound simple, but sometimes you don't know what people don't know. Open all the ketchup packets at the same time. You can do up to 4 or 5 at a time pretty easily. You're going to save yourself a little bit of time, because who's got time when you got hot, fresh food in front of you to be opening ketchup packets for 10 minutes? I know I sure don't. Fries look good. They got a little cold on the drive over, but I can't hold that against them. They're still mighty fine. Starfire burger, looking hand pattied. I told you what's on it. I think we've got a double toasted brioche bun, meaning the brioche bun is toasted on both sides, it seems. Starfire cheeseburger. Let's find out where this bad boy ranks. We are up to 11 different burgers. We're about to see where this one goes. With no further ado. Phone's blowing up. Hold on a second. Just sometimes you just have to enjoy the moment, okay? Now, I can't remember for certain, but I think this was the most expensive burger on the list. $16 for the burger. But this is possibly the biggest burger that we've had. I'm going to say this is bigger than Victor's. It is, yeah. Yeah, it is. Seems to be, at least. The onion ring. Not going to be mad at that at all. First, I want to say Starfire is one of the 3 classic staple restaurants in Florence. At least in my almost 40 years of experience here, you had Percy and Willie's, Red Bone Alley, and Starfire. For me, and for many, the 3 are always tied together. Unfortunately, Percy and Willie's is no longer with us. But you had Redbone have an ownership transition here recently. Very excited about the future of Redbone Alley and what's going to take place over there. And likewise with Starfire, prior to that, you also had a shift or a change in ownership. Now, they had a fire in Starfire, unfortunately, but they've gotten that remedied, remodeled, renovated. They're back up and running at full strength, too. They had a pretty decent sized lunch crowd when I was there, and I was at the back end of the lunch hour. Now, the burger. You can tell by the way that I'm demolishing this thing that I like it. So let's start with a high-level statement and then work our way down. Off the rip, I can tell you that this is a big, bad cheeseburger right here. And this burger could go toe-to-toe with any cheeseburger that you put up against it, for sure. Again, there's not much by way of seasoning on the meat, which we're learning a lot of people just don't do that. Apparently, news to me is even somewhat of a controversial subject. But I thought at the minimum, salting and peppering your burger patty was standard. And then perhaps it's to what degree. I do think this has been salted. I'm not saying I want anything that's overly salted. It's just on a lot of these, I've noticed that it's undetectable. Pretty much. But again, that's not the end of the world. If you have a quality beef and you don't overcook it, see, that's a problem. Then a lot of times the fat in that beef is going to bring you that flavor. The bun on this is well toasted. Provides great texture. See if you can see that. For any of you out there saying, oh, that looks burnt. It's not burnt. It's butter. It's fine. In fact, it's actually really good. I haven't made my mind up exactly where I'm going to rank this yet. I've got to look at the list. I got to think through it. But I can tell you, I'm enjoying this right now, in this exact moment in time, possibly more than I've enjoyed any one that I've done. And it could just be because I was hungry, you know. But make no mistake, this is excellent. It's straight down the middle. Nothing fancy, no bells and whistles. If anything, toasting the brioche bun on both sides would be the only fancy element to it. I mean, I guess you could say putting the onion ring on there. That's a nice touch. You know, this is kind of why we're doing this, because if you're like me in this particular sense, and I bet a lot of you have been, I'd be willing to bet there are a lot of you out there that have never had a cheeseburger from Starfire. And it's not because you don't go to Starfire. It's because when you go, the cheeseburger is not the item on their menu that you're thinking about getting. They have a large, vast menu with a lot of variety. An eclectic menu. It would just be very easy to not get a burger. Now, a lot of the Greek places have good burgers, so I also could see where people are like, nah, of course you would do that. And now that I'm eating it, it makes sense. But, you know, I'm sure that we'll need to make our way over to Townhouse at some point. And I haven't had a Townhouse burger in a couple years now. I'll do a spoiler alert. This is going to have it beat. We're shedding light right now on a product that is awesome. We're about to find out just how awesome. So let's rank it. Now, before we do, I had to get myself a seasonal favorite treat. I did grab a slice of their pumpkin cheesecake, and we're about to dive into that together also right now. I didn't recognize what it was at first because they usually put the little pumpkin candies on there, and it wasn't on there, so I didn't recognize it, but I don't really care about that. I don't really like those anyways. Although, don't get me wrong, it is a nice touch. I like things that are festive. I like all the festiveness for the seasons. I'm into it. So by all means, put the pumpkin on there. I just didn't recognize it because it wasn't there. Now, I'm about to rank this, but before I do, let's get a bite of this. And let me ask y'all, do y'all remember Miss Peggy? So this is a pumpkin cheesecake. And it is mighty fine. When October, November comes around, you've never had the Starfire pumpkin cheesecake, you need to do yourself a favor and get you a slice. I mean, I got to get at least one every year. At least one. However, I will say, as good as this is, Miss Peggy that had the cheesecakes, and you could find her at Victor's back in the day, for my 30th birthday, a really good friend of mine purchased me a whole pumpkin cheesecake that Miss Peggy made. That was the best cheesecake I've ever had. I've had cheesecake in New York City. I've had a lot of different cheesecake, and I've had good cheesecake, don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you, that one is burned in my memory. That's how I evaluate this stuff. Like, in the moment, you could say anything, but what do you remember about the food? That's how you know it was good. And that pumpkin cheesecake was phenomenal. But this is what I've got access to now. And you know what? This is pretty darn good too. Please go get yourself a slice of that. Just don't miss that. Don't miss it. All right, here's where we are, folks. Here's where we are. This is tough. This is tough. The burger itself reminds me a lot of Stefano's. The burger patty, hand pattied, very homey feel, reminds me a lot of Little D's Dugout burger. However, I'm going to have to say on all accounts, it's better than both of those. I definitely think I would prefer that one over Bird's Nest Burger. This is where I'm struggling. You know, I'm just going to have to make a gut call because it's hard to say. Some things in life you can't overthink, all right? Some people never get anything accomplished because they overthink and overanalyze everything. And I've learned sometimes it's best just to go. And I got to go with my gut. I got to go with my instincts. I'm fresh off of eating that. There's absolutely nothing negative that I can say about it. I'd probably salt my patty a wee bit more than that. Black pepper for sure. That's probably it. Between Locals, Old Del May, SC Real Foods, for me, it's a pure toss-up. It's definitely, for me, above Locals. I think Old Del May could come down to a budget thing. If cost was a motivating factor, a primary motivating factor for me, then maybe Old Del May would get the edge. Taking that out of the equation, I'd have to say it's better than Old Del May. And I think that based off what I just experienced, I think if I was, hey, we're going to go on our lunch break, let's go have a cheeseburger, I'm probably going to Starfire more times than I'm going to SC Real Foods for that burger. Plus, just on a personal note, the chopped cheese would be my go-to at SC Real Foods anyways, as many of you may know. So I got to give it the edge on SC Real Foods. So this is the first one we've had in a little while making some real noise. I'm not going to put it above Buddy's. I'm a smash burger guy. I love the burger at Buddy's. So therefore, now firmly in second place is Starfire. And there you have it. That was exceptional. That was phenomenal. That was fantastic. For real. I recommend you get over there and get you one of those if you've never had one. And shout out to whoever posted that, because Starfire, even in the midst of all this, really wasn't on my radar. I figured with it being locally owned, we would have made our way there knowing they do have a burger on the menu, but I don't know if I would have been as motivated to get there as quick. There's nothing to complain about with that one. That was really good. So yeah, literally hats off to Starfire. Just Good job. Thank you very much. The pumpkin cheesecake, man, if you haven't had it, I recommend it. I'd say go grab you one before the season is over. I think you're going to like it. So look, I really appreciate you guys' viewership, and I really do mean that. I really do appreciate it. I love interacting with y'all. I get to meet people out in the community, and so I really enjoy it. We share a common passion for food, so that's what this is all about. We're having a good time doing it. I hope you're having a good time as well. Would love to hear your thoughts on these rankings. I already know that there's some of you out there that have really positive things to say about Starfire's burger, so very interested to hear your take. This was a big mover today. That was a big one. I'm excited. Sometimes when you get these and they don't really move the needle, it can be a bit disappointing. But to get one like that was very exciting. I really enjoyed that. I did. So, with that being said, as always, y'all take care, and God willing, we'll see you on the next video.